What if I told you that the only thing standing between you and everything you've ever wanted is the moment you decide not to quit? Think about that. Not talent, not opportunity, not luck, just one decision. I will not be defeated. You see, people think the strongest ones are the loudest in the room, the ones shouting, flexing, showing off. But that's not strength. That's noise. Real strength is quiet. It's the person who takes the hit and keeps moving. It's the one who stands back up without fanfare. It's the woman who wipes her tears in silence and says, "Try me again." This world doesn't hand out victories. It doesn't play fair. It doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Life will punch you when you're down. It will test you when you're tired. And it will watch to see what you do next. You ever feel like everything is trying to break you? Like you're walking through fire and no one even notices you're burning? That's not failure. That's the making of something unstoppable. Because every time you didn't quit, every time you whispered to yourself, "Not today," when you wanted to run away, that's proof. Proof that there's more fight in you than you ever imagined. You want to know what undefeated looks like. It looks like standing up one more time than you've fallen. It looks like failing and refusing to be ashamed of it. It looks like grit in your teeth when you have nothing left but your will. You don't need a crowd. You don't need approval. You don't even need to feel confident. All you need is one silent decision. I will not back down. I will not fold. I will not be defeated. And if that fire is still flickering inside you, even just a little, then it means your story isn't over yet. You're not finished, not by a long shot. So don't you dare look at your life and think it's too late. Don't you dare call it quits, because the road is dark. You were built for this. That storm, it's yours to walk through. That mountain, yours to climb. That fear, yours to conquer. The only way you lose is if you hand over the fight. And you were born to fight. Shall we continue into the first section? Pain is a sign that you're still in the fight. Pain is misunderstood. People treat it like it's the enemy, like it's something to avoid at all costs. But let me tell you the truth. Pain is proof that you're still alive, that you still care, that you're still in the fight. It's the sound of growth echoing through your soul. Pain doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means you haven't surrendered. It means something inside you is still fighting to survive, to rise, to move forward. Even if you're crawling, you don't feel pain when you're numb. You don't feel pain when you're dead inside. You feel pain when you're still fighting for something. You feel pain when you haven't let go of the dream, even when it hurts to hold it. That heartbreak, that betrayal, that loss. It means you're still emotionally invested in the life you're trying to build. And that matters. That matters more than you know. There are people walking around right now with everything they ever wanted, but they're empty, numb, disconnected. They haven't cried in years, and they think that's strength. But it's not. You being able to feel what you're going through, that's not a curse. That's not a setback. That's a signal that you haven't quit on yourself. Pain is the cost of growth. No one builds muscle without tearing it first. No one becomes wiser without making mistakes. And no one becomes mentally unbreakable without walking through fire. So stop thinking pain is something to run from. You don't escape it by avoiding it. You transcend it by walking straight into it and saying, "Let's go. I can take it." Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet have scars you'll never see. They've walked through battles that nearly destroyed them, but they chose to keep moving. Not because it didn't hurt, not because it was easy, but because they understood something. If you're still hurting, it means you're still here. It means you've got something left to give. And sometimes that's all it takes, just showing up again, even in pain, especially in pain. You think you're alone in what you're going through? You're not. The pain you're carrying, it connects you to every person who's ever fought through the darkness. Every person who's ever laid on the floor and whispered, "I don't know if I can do this anymore." But then they stood back up, they did it. And so can you. You want to win this fight? Start seeing your pain differently. It's not your weakness, it's your weapon. It's the reminder that you're still in it, that you've got skin in the game, that you want more. You only hurt when it matters. You only ache when the outcome means something. So if you're hurting, you're not broken, you're invested. And that's a powerful thing. People will try to tell you to numb it, to suppress it, to fake a smile and move on like nothing happened. Don't. Don't rob yourself of the fire that pain can spark. Let it fuel you, let it refine you, let it shape you into someone they won't recognize by the time you're done rising. Every champion has felt pain. Every hero has been on their knees. Every warrior has questioned whether they could keep going. But the difference between those who win and those who stay defeated isn't whether they feel pain, it's what they do with it. You want to be great? Then you better learn how to carry pain without letting it break you. You better learn how to feel it, face it, and keep going anyway. There are going to be days when you feel like your heart can't take one more hit. There will be nights when your thoughts try to convince you that it's over, that it's not worth it, that you should walk away. But let me tell you something. Pain doesn't mean stop. It means pause, breathe, regroup, and go again. It means you're pushing against something that's resisting you. And resistance means progress. So lean into it. When it hurts, don't back down. Don't retreat. Look at that pain and say, you don't scare me. You don't define me. You're just part of the process. Let every ache be a reminder that you're evolving, that you're becoming someone who can handle more than you ever thought possible. You don't get stronger by coasting. You get stronger by enduring. And every time you make it through another round of hurt, you're not just surviving, you're building armor, mental armor, spiritual armor, the kind of toughness no one can teach you, no book can give you, and no speech can inject into your blood. That kind of power only comes from pain. So the next time you're hurting, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this pain trying to show me? What is it preparing me for? Because pain never comes without a purpose. There's something on the other side of it that's meant for you, but you've got to endure. You've got to hold the line when it feels like you're breaking. You've got to believe that pain is the threshold to your next level, not the end. You're still in the fight. That's what pain means. You haven't been knocked out. You haven't surrendered. You're still standing, maybe not tall, maybe not loud, but you're there. And that's enough. That's more than enough to win. Because at the end of the day, victory doesn't always look like a celebration. Sometimes victory looks like someone in pain refusing to quit. That someone is you. Shall we move on to the next section? You don't need permission to stand up again. There's a moment in everyone's life when they fall. Not a little stumble, but a full collapse. Flat on your face, breath knocked out of your lungs, and no one rushing to pick you up. That moment is critical. It's not about the fall. Everyone falls. What matters is what you decide to do next. And far too many people stay on the ground because they think they need someone's permission to rise. They wait for approval. They wait for an invitation. They wait for someone to say, it's okay, you can try again. But let's get one thing straight. You don't need permission to get back up. No one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to tap you on the shoulder and give you the green light to rebuild your life, your confidence, your strength. That's on you. You are not broken beyond repair. You're not disqualified because of what happened to you. You're not too late, too far behind, or too damaged to come back stronger. The only thing holding you back is the belief that someone else has to say it's okay for you to stand again. But they don't. That power has always belonged to you. There is a voice in your head, sometimes loud, sometimes whispering, that questions if you're worthy of rising. It lists your mistakes. It replays your regrets. It tells you that you've already failed too many times, and that trying again would just be embarrassing. You've heard it, haven't you? That voice that says, don't bother, it's over. But here's what you need to understand. That voice is a liar. It's not trying to protect you. It's trying to trap you. And the longer you listen, the longer you stay down. Standing up again is one of the most rebellious things you can do in a world that wants you to stay broken. Rising after failure? That takes guts. Refusing to accept defeat even when everyone around you has written you off? That's real power. The world loves a comeback story, but it rarely cheers for you when you're in the middle of writing it. Don't wait for applause. Don't wait for support. Sometimes you have to stand back up in silence on shaky legs with no one watching but your own reflection. Think about it. How many times have you stopped yourself from trying again because you were afraid of what people might say? How many times did you hesitate because you didn't feel ready yet? Let me tell you something. Ready is a myth. No one ever feels ready to rise. You do it scared. You do it uncertain. You do it while your voice is still shaking. You do it while your heart is still healing. And that's exactly what makes it powerful. Rising isn't about perfection. It's about permission, and you already have it. You don't need the world's permission to redefine yourself. You don't need your past permission to move forward. You don't need your critics, your family, your friends, or even your former self to validate your decision to rise. You make that choice. You decide when it's time to reclaim your power. And when you do, no one can take that from you. Maybe you've been told you're not enough. Maybe you've been overlooked, underestimated, or discarded. Good. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Their opinions are not your destiny. The more noise they make, the more fuel you collect. Every person who told you to stay down is going to be shocked when you rise up. And they will. They will look at you one day and wonder how you did it. But they won't understand that it happened the moment you stopped waiting for them and started believing in yourself. There's no referee in life who's going to count you out or wave a flag that says you're disqualified. The only one who can make that call is you, and you haven't made it. Because you're still here, you're still breathing, you're still listening. That means there's something in you that refuses to give in completely. That flicker inside you, that's your fight. That's your permission slip. That's your call to rise. The comeback doesn't start when people cheer. It starts in the quiet when you make a decision deep in your soul that you're not done, that you still have something to prove, not to them, but to yourself. And that's when everything changes. When you stop waiting to be rescued and realize you are the rescue. You've survived days you thought would destroy you. You've kept walking when your world was falling apart. You've carried pain silently, showed up when it hurt, smiled through tears, and kept moving forward when your legs were shaking. You're not fragile. You're fierce, but you forget that because you've been waiting for someone to remind you. So let this be the reminder. You have nothing left to prove to anyone but yourself. And you have every right to stand again. It doesn't matter if they don't believe in you. It doesn't matter if they left you behind. What matters is what you believe now, in this moment. Do you believe you have one more round in you? Do you believe there's more ahead than what's behind you? If the answer is yes, even if it's a quiet yes, then it's time. Stand up, not because the world gave you permission, but because you decided it's time to rise. Ready for the next section? Defeat is a mindset, not a moment. Defeat is not the moment you fail. It's not when you lose the job, miss the opportunity, or get knocked to the ground. Defeat doesn't live in circumstances, it lives in your mind. That's the truth most people never understand. You weren't defeated when life hit you hard. You were tested, you were challenged, you were invited to become stronger. The real defeat happens only when you accept the lie that you can't come back from it. Let's be honest, life will throw things at you that you didn't ask for, things you didn't see coming. And sometimes those things will shake your world. You'll question everything. You'll wonder if you're enough, and that's normal. But the danger isn't in the failure. It's in what you decide to believe afterward. If you look at that moment and say, "This is who I am now, just broken, just done," then you've already surrendered your power. You've handed the keys over to the storm. You have to understand that defeat is a decision. No one can defeat you without your consent. No situation has that kind of authority. Life can wound you. Yes, it can break your heart, steal your peace, and flip everything upside down. But it cannot define you unless you let it. What happens to you is real. but what you choose to do with it. That's where your power lives. That's where the fight begins. You don't have to deny what you're going through. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to cry, to grieve, to feel lost for a while. That's not weakness. That's humanity. But don't confuse pain with permanent identity. Don't sit in the ashes and call it your home. You can acknowledge the fall without marrying it. You can own your wounds without letting them name you. What you feel today is not your final form. Some people spend years trapped in moments that lasted minutes. They carry shame, disappointment, and failure like it's their birthright. But it's not. Those were chapters, they're not the whole story. You're not stuck unless you say you are. The power to shift your narrative is always in your hands, even if it doesn't feel like it. The difference between someone who stays down and someone who rises again is mindset. That's it. The person who rises has trained their mind to interpret failure differently. Where others see end, they see lesson. Where others see rejection, they see redirection. Where others see loss, they see preparation. It's not about being delusional, it's about being disciplined in how you process pain. If you can teach your mind not to panic in discomfort, you become unstoppable. Think about the people you admire, the strong ones, the leaders, the warriors. Do you really think they've never been knocked down? Of course they have. The difference is they refused to stay there. They didn't let the fall become the definition. They looked defeat in the eye and said, "You don't get to have me. I'm still in control." That's what you have to do. You've got to rewire how you think about loss. Rejection didn't destroy you, it cleared space for something better. Failure didn't break you, it taught you where the real cracks were so you could rebuild stronger. That breakdown you had, it was real. It was painful, but it might have been the thing that shook you awake. You're gonna have moments when the pressure gets too heavy, when the silence is too loud, when the weight of everything you're carrying feels unbearable. In those moments, it's easy to believe the lie that you're defeated. But that lie only has power if you feed it. You don't have to deny your exhaustion, but don't call it the end. Call it a pause. Call it a reset. Call it whatever you want, but don't call it defeat. The most dangerous battles don't happen out in the world. They happen in your head. It's your mind that tells you to give up. It's your mind that says, "What's the point?" It's your mind that whispers, "You're not strong enough." So train your mind, discipline your thought. Get aggressive with your self-talk. When that voice starts to poison your progress, fight back. Say, "No, I'm not done. I've still got something in me." You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to heal slowly. You are allowed to feel afraid. But what you are not allowed to do is label yourself as defeated when you are still breathing, still capable, still here. The fact that you're listening to this right now means you haven't quit, and that means the game is still on. Don't underestimate the power of your own mind. That's the control center. That's the battlefield. If you win there, you win everywhere else. You want to change your life? Start by changing the way you define setbacks. A moment is just a moment. It becomes something permanent only if you give it that title. You are not what happened to you. You are what you decide to become despite what happened. And that decision, it starts today, right now, with one thought, one breath, one refusal to stay stuck. Defeat is not an event. It's not a sentence. It's not the last word. It's just a thought. And you have the power to think something different. Shall we continue to the next section? Strength is built in the silence. When no one is clapping, strength isn't built in the spotlight. It's not forged under applause, recognition, or praise. Strength is built in the dark. It's shaped in silence. It's created in the moments when no one's watching, no one's cheering, and no one's there to tell you, keep going. The truth is, most of your growth will happen when you feel the most invisible. When the world is quiet, and your only companion is the voice inside your head telling you to keep pushing forward. Those early mornings when you drag yourself out of bed while everyone else sleeps, that's where it begins. Those long nights you spend grinding, studying, healing, rebuilding, alone. That's where your edge is born. Real strength is not loud. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't show off. It endures. It survives. It keeps moving, even when there's no reward in sight. There's something powerful about doing the work without recognition, about choosing to grow when no one is noticing, because that's when it's real. That's when you're not doing it for the claps, for the comments, for the likes. You're doing it because something inside you refuses to stay the same. That kind of strength doesn't fade. That kind of strength doesn't crumble under pressure. It holds steady because it was built in silence, not shaped by noise. People often give up because no one is cheering for them. They stop because they don't see instant results. They walk away because they feel unseen, unappreciated, unnoticed. But here's the truth. The work you do when no one is looking is the work that changes your life. The way you carry yourself when no one else cares. That's what defines you. That's what separates the average from the unstoppable. You have to be willing to walk alone sometimes. You have to be okay with feeling invisible for a while. You have to make peace with being overlooked because your validation doesn't come from other people. It comes from the fire inside you, from your commitment to keep going, even when the world stays silent. Especially when it stays silent. Some of the most powerful transformations happen in isolation. When the lights are off, when you're not performing for anyone, that's when you start facing your truth. That's when you start shedding the layers of doubt, fear, and insecurity. That's when you start becoming dangerous. Not to others, but to the version of yourself that used to settle. No one sees the hours you spend in the gym, exhausted and sore, but still showing up. No one sees the tears you cry alone after a setback, the way you pull yourself back together when no one is around to comfort you. No one sees the discipline, the choices, the small sacrifices you make daily in silence. But it all adds up. It all counts. And eventually it all shows. You don't need a crowd to validate your process. You don't need an audience to confirm your value. If you can learn to keep going without recognition, you're already ahead of most people. Because most people stop the minute it gets quiet. But not you. You've got something else driving you. Something deeper. Something real. The truth is, there will be seasons when your work feels thankless, when your effort feels ignored, when your progress feels invisible. And in those moments, your mind will try to convince you that it's pointless, that no one notices, that no one cares. But your strength is not in being seen. It's in your refusal to stop. You keep going not because they see you, but because you see yourself. You show up even when it's hard. You rise even when you're tired. You keep building brick by brick, even when no one is acknowledging the foundation. Because one day, the results will speak so loudly, they won't be able to ignore you. But by then, the applause won't even matter, because you'll know who you are without it. That's the level you want to reach. The level where silence doesn't scare you, where being unseen doesn't shake you, where your self-worth isn't tied to performance or praise, but to your own relentless drive. When you reach that level, you become unstoppable because you no longer need permission to be great. You've already given it to yourself. Think about the strongest people you know, the ones who carry themselves with quiet power. They didn't get there by accident. They earned it in the shadows. They earned it when the world wasn't watching, when they were falling apart behind closed doors, but still showing up with grace and fire. You have that same fire. You just have to trust the process. You have to believe in your growth when no one else sees it. You have to clap for yourself in the dark, celebrate your silent victories, and keep your eyes on the bigger picture. That's how strength is built. Not in noise, not in approval, but in commitment, in perseverance, in your decision to keep going when the applause stops. So the next time you feel invisible, remind yourself, this is where the real work happens. This is where the real transformation begins. You are not weak for walking alone. You are not lesser because they're not watching. You are becoming something solid, something unshakable. Keep building, keep moving, keep rising, even when no one claps, especially when no one claps. Shall we continue to the next section? You already survived what was meant to break you. Take a moment and look back, not at what you lost, but at what you've lived through, Think about all the times life threw things at you that should have shattered you, buried you, ended you. And yet here you are, breathing, standing, maybe still bruised, maybe still healing, but not broken. You already survived what was meant to destroy you. That alone should tell you something about your power. Life doesn't pull punches. It hits hard. And sometimes it hits when you're already down. Maybe you've been through heartbreak that ripped your soul in half. Maybe you've faced betrayal from people you trusted with everything. Maybe you've stood in front of a mirror and questioned your worth because the world kept telling you that you weren't enough. But no matter what came against you, grief, loss, failure, fear, it didn't win. You're still here. That means you won. Survival isn't just about making it out physically. It's about what you did with the pain. It's about choosing to show up again after being hurt. Choosing to believe in yourself when everything around you is crumbling. That's what true strength is. It's not flashy. It's not loud. It's not always visible, but it's undeniable. You think back on the things you barely crawled through and you wonder how you made it. That's the thing. You didn't even know how strong you were until survival was your only choice. You didn't get to choose the storm, but you chose to keep walking through it. That's power. You didn't let the fire consume you. You let it refine you. And even if it left scars, those scars are proof that you refuse to be defeated. Stop underestimating yourself. You've already walked through what many couldn't handle. You've fought silent battles that no one clapped for. You've held it together when your world was falling apart behind closed doors. Don't ever confuse survival with weakness. Survival means you faced darkness and chose to step back into the light. That's courage. That's resilience. That's you. Sometimes we're so focused on the struggle ahead that we forget how far we've already come. We forget that the same person who got through yesterday's hell is the same one standing here today with more wisdom, more grit, more edge than ever before. You're not the same. You're strong, you're wiser, you're more equipped. What nearly broke you then only built a better version of you now. There's a reason the things that were meant to break you didn't. Because they weren't meant to. They were meant to build you, to mold you, to strip away the version of yourself that was playing small, hiding, shrinking, and force you to confront who you really are when everything else is taken away. That's when the real you shows up. Not the polished, perfect version, the raw, resilient, unbreakable one. Think about the worst moments in your life. Now think about what came after. Maybe clarity, maybe strength, maybe peace, or maybe just the simple realization that you're still standing. That's not by accident. That's evidence. Evidence that there's something inside you that refuses to let go. Something fierce. Something sacred. And don't ever let anyone try to measure your strength based on what they can see. They didn't live your life. They didn't walk your path. They don't know the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the days you forced yourself to smile, or the weight you've carried in silence. Just because they can't see the war doesn't mean you haven't been through one. You're not weak because you're still healing. You're not broken because you feel pain. You are powerful because despite it all, you're still here. You already survived what was meant to break you, and that means nothing ahead of you is stronger than what's already behind you. You've been through enough to know that you can handle more than you thought. You don't need to question your strength anymore. You've already proven it. Your survival is your testimony. Your endurance is your legacy. So let that fuel you. Let it remind you who you are. Let it silence the doubt and kill the fear. Because whatever comes next, you're not walking into it weak. You're walking into it battle-tested. You know how to get back up. You know how to rebuild from the ground up, and you know how to keep going even when your heart is still breaking. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be faithful to the fight. You just need to keep choosing yourself every day, especially when it's hard. Because the truth is, the same strength that got you through the last storm will carry you through the next one. You've already done the impossible once. You can do it again. You are not defined by what tried to break you. You are defined by the fact that it didn't. And that right there, that resilience, that refusal to quit, that unshakable spirit. That's what makes you unstoppable. You've made it this far. That means you can make it through anything. Shall we finish with a strong, unforgettable conclusion for the full speech? Let me tell you something right now. The world doesn't get to write your ending. Life doesn't get the final say. Circumstance doesn't decide your worth. You do. You are not your failures. You are not your past. You are not the names they called you, the pain they gave you, or the moments that almost broke you. You are what you choose to become in the face of all of it. And if you choose right now to rise, to rebuild, to reclaim everything that tried to bury you, then nothing and no one can stop you. There will be days when your strength feels far away. There will be mornings when you question your worth. There will be nights when you want to disappear into the silence. But hear this, those moments are not your end. They are your resistance training. They are building your spirit. They are chiseling your character. And the deeper the pain, the stronger the foundation. You didn't come this far to quit now. You didn't fight through all that fire just to fade into the background. You've already proven that you're not easily broken. So now it's time to decide, will you let the weight crush you, or will you let it carve you into something unshakable? There's no applause in the silence, no spotlight in the rebuilding, but you don't need it. Because deep inside you, there is something louder than all the noise, the unrelenting voice that says, I will not be defeated. Say it, mean it, live it. Because when the world expects you to stay down, the boldest thing you can do, the strongest thing you can do, is rise anyway. This is your fight. This is your fire. This is your time. You will not be defeated.